Good morning, fellow inner peeps. I am Scarab, which is Scarab Enterprises. Welcome to my channel. Today, you are on my Patreon because this is the only place I'm releasing this video. Anyway, how y'all doing? Let me know how you're doing in the comments of this post. And I'm going to walk you through step by step what this animation is, what it represents, and why I did things the way that I've done them. So this project is actually not a project for Heavy Heart Digital or Heavy Heart Tabletop. This is specifically for a friend. I am designing this this character and a set of animation to go along with his channel because, well, you gotta keep friends in your life, and friends are good and friends are fun. And I'm not being paid for this, but I am getting a lot of experience in creating pixel art animations, which is especially character animations, which I'm not overly versed in, but I've proven to myself that I'm able to do this, which means that everything else is going to come naturally as this came to me. Not saying that this was easy by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. This was actually quite a pain in the ass to do. However, everything that I have learned along the way had made this a little easier for me to figure out. I actually did a few things that were a lot more advanced than what you would see with a novice pixel artist, and that is because I've done a lot of research and a lot of paying attention to art in general, especially something I want to get plastered on a t-shirt, which is respecting the light and respecting the shadows. So I'm going to tell you about the project, and then I'm going to walk you through step by step each frame of this animation. Let's start off with this purple cultist dude, because he is the originator. This is the leader of the cult, and the reason he is purple is because my friend had a friend who had passed away. Purple is his favorite color, and when I first announced this, hey, I'll make a vault for you. I'll make this little cultist dude, you know, appear on screen, get splattered by a monster, you know, that sort of thing. And he's like, oh, cool, could you make him purple? And I was like, yeah, sure, I can make him purple, why not? You know, he's like, oh, I've got a friend who passed away, his favorite color was purple, you know, and I'm just like, I kind of don't want to kill someone who is already dead. So how's this? I'll make a purple dude a leader of a cult, and then I'll get this guy to go and sort of like direct another dude to appear who is going to die in place. So I thought that it would be really cool to have the purple guy be the leader, and then, you know, he goes through and he gets, like, he looks up at the vault is starting to open, and he gets like, he gets jump scared, and then he turns and he runs away, and then, you know, he's like, okay, cool, let's, how about you deal with this problem, you know? So he turns to his cultist friend, and then and then he directs them to, you know, advance. You deal with this problem. I'm I'm a high rank. I'm not dealing with this. So we got this dude who walks up and ends up getting jump scared by it and stuff, and then he runs away. And then, yeah, when he runs away, he sort of does that, and I'm at the stage where I can actually insert this into the project itself and start to work on the animation in the project itself. So here is the Nerd Vault itself. I painstakingly created this contraption here. So this is going to open up, and then there's going to be like tentacles and stuff coming out, and thwacking the cultist dude and splatting him on the wall, but it won't be this purple dude. This is just a concept design here where we've got the shading and everything. So I'm going to go frame by frame, getting him on screen. He's going to walk up to it, he's going to look up, and then this is going to happen, like steam and shit is going to come out of the vault here, and yeah, that's going to alarm him. He's going to get jump scared, he's going to turn back, and then he walks towards this side of the screen, and he'll start to point in this direction, and then we'll have the cultist wearing the black cloak coming in off screen, passing the purple guy. The purple guy will then turn and walk off screen, and then the guy in the black robe is going to stand here and then get jump scared by it again, tries to run away, and then he's going, I just drew a dick, hang on, I'm sorry. Tries to run away and then falls to the ground. He will fall to the ground. Then we're going to have a tentacle come out and grab him. From there, that will be a completely separate stream that I actually do this animation. But that's kind of the concept, is that the vault has dangerous shit in here. As you can see, it's been boarded up. And it's like sort of, someone's just put a vault door over a crack to the ether, so who knows what's in there, you know, it's kind of a scary thing. And the whole purpose of the Nerd Vault is that it's full of like nerdy stuff, and my friend's really into horror, all that sort of stuff. So this is a big promotion for him, as well as he gets this animation for free because mates rates, you know, that sort of thing. But I also get the experience of going, I've never made a vault before. Now I have, you know what I mean? So I never made a pixel art vault. So if you pay close attention, you can actually see that, like, look at all of this. You've got the light shining down on this, but then you've got the light shining on this little piece here, which is made of metal. And then it's very bright up here. Where over here, we've got the light shining down on this metal, and then it's very bright over here. So respecting the light, you can see that on every piece of shiny metal, we've got a nice radiating, reflecting light. Because that's what light does, it bounces, right? And then we've got the shadows, as you can see, under here, and then under here and everything. We've got all of that nice little shading here. And all of that is because the light source is coming down like this. So the whole time, the light source is coming down like this. Which is, again, the reason why the light on this purple guy is coming down like that. And as you can see, it's very dark down here. And the reason for that is because I'm respecting the light and trying to respect the shadows as well. So yeah, this is the vault. I've never made a vault before in my entire life. This was my first attempt, and now I have to animate this. It's not going to be that hard, actually, which is to my surprise. But I want to add a little extra flair. The background right now is not exactly what I want it to be. I will change that up. But it will still be like a flat color, but right now we just wanted to have a representation for where the light is. And as you can see, it's dark over here, but it is bright over here. And the reason for that is so then I was able to design this appropriately. You can even see on the wood itself that it is light over here and gets darker over here. Light over here, darker over here. So the light is always respected no matter where you are in the picture. So let's get back to the cultist. So I needed to figure out a walk animation, and the way that I did this was I looked at the original creation, which is 19 by 19 pixels. So if you go and count all of these out, you'd be able to find out that this is 19 by 19 pixels. I got rid of that, but it's still on the last frame because in case I needed to know what his boundary is, I had an orange box surrounding him just so that I knew exactly what to do, right? We'll start with the purple guy because he is the main character, or at least the leader of the cult. So I needed a walking animation. So as you can see, having this origination of his body is this is just like literally him standing there, right? We have an idle animation, which is very easy to do. You just go back and forwards. But in order to give this a little bit more of a realistic feel to it, as you can see with the lighting, it's like crunching his robe a little bit, so it sort of makes it look a little bit more real. And I really like the fact that he's got these little things here. I love that. It was the last minute addition, but I don't regret it at all. I think that his little... I don't actually know what this is called. I know that Link has it in his... on his head. What's it called? I need to look it up. Okay, so according to Google, it is called a Leary pipe. I have no idea what that is, but sure! Okay, so this thing is apparently called a Leary pipe, but it needed it. It just looks so good with it. Anyway, I needed to figure out a walking animation, so the idle animation is simple enough. So taking his first step, I wanted his right leg to move first. And as you can see at the bottom of his gown, we've got 1 pixel here. And then the next frame, we've got 2 pixels here, right? And the reason for that is because there is a length to the bottom of his robe. So to sell the animation, instead of just keeping it like, let's, for example, keeping it like that and then moving that there, which would kind of look like this, and keep it still across both frames, it would look still. You can sell the animation by moving it. And then that way, it makes it a little bit more realistic. So I wanted his first step to be a right step, and as that happens, you can see light coming down. Hang on, let me just put my green back on so I can point out things. So he's got light coming down over his robe. So as you can see, from standing to first step, we've got the light crunching his robe, which gives you the illusion that his fabric is folding, and you can see the light reflecting from that. Then you got the second step, which is quite literally the bit in between. So both this frame and this frame are identical. And the reason for that is just a simple pixel art trick where you can use the same frame on multiple occasions to sell like an in-between frame for movement. So that's what I chose to do, which was, well, this is how the guy looks if he's standing, right? So if this is what he looks like when he's standing, he takes a step, and then he balances out when he's going to go and take a second step, and then his second step is here. Okay? So we got his right leg forward, left arm forward. Then we have his left leg forward and left arm back. So this way you're able to see as he moves, that is quite literally how he walks. But the way that I was able to sell this is because his idle animation has a specific type of light gathering on him. Then you move, and he's got the light giving you the illusion that his cloak is moving. His shoulder is here, as you can see, and his shoulder is bouncing light off, and then he goes back to his idle stance, and then he takes another step, and then you've got a little bit more light and a different pattern for the crunch of light that is happening with his robe. So everything is exposed to the light. And then that way, we can just literally go step, 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 step. That easy. Left, right, you know, that sort of thing. So his walking animation was, at first, I thought it was going to be really difficult, but I found that this, as the first piece of the puzzle, was relatively easy. I actually surprised myself with how easy this was. Now, I did go over it again and again and again, but that's just because I'm a perfectionist. But if we look at this, having his robe come in, and then, you know, he's moving his other leg forward, which is forcing this right here. If you can pay attention, this is, right now, there is nothing in front of him. There is no robe in front of him. And that is the same for frame 1 as it is for frame 2. And the reason for that is because of GeForce. Because we are currently moving in a direction like this, right? So he is going that way. Which means that if you've ever, I don't know, stuck a rag out of a window of a car or something like that, you can see that if you're moving a direction, it's always going to have the bulk end over here, right? So pay attention to that because that will come up later. So his gown is always going to be centered here as he's moving forwards. We interrupt this program to thank our members on Patreon. Your contribution helps Scarab Enterprises as a whole. All tiers are equal in benefits and the entry is only $1 USD. We even have shadow tiers for those who do not wish to be named but want to show their support. Join now. Our Patreon link is in the description. So after that, I had the idle animation, which is just something you need as a pixel artist for a character. You just need to have an idle animation. So what I did was I removed 1 pixel from this, and then I just increased the light effects here to give you the illusion. And then I made it so then he would look up, and then he idles while looking up. And all I did for this was, right now we've got a 3 3x4 black hole. That is his face. 3x4, and then you've got one single pixel that sells the fact that the hood has a pointed shape, right? But then he looks up, and then we have a 3x4 with 2 pixels down below. And the reason for that is because he's now warping the hood by looking up, which means that the hood is still hanging down, but it's also moved over to the side a little bit. And then that way we can sell that picture. So, right, as he's just idling there. But then he notices that the vault is opening, as we were saying before. So right now, this character would be about here. And then he looks up at the vault and goes, oh, shit. Something happened. You know? So what actually happens is, if you look at his cloak, pay very close attention to his cloak. He jumps up, so his cloak is still on the ground. As you can see his feet. He's got these nice little velvet gloves and velvet sockies. And then he jumps up, and that stays on the bottom. But because he's moving upwards, his cloak gets dragged in. Ever so slightly, his cloak gets dragged in. And then you jump up, and then his cloak starts to bunch up because we are in the pinnacle of his jump right here. So he jumps up, his cloak catches up, and he moves back a pixel. As you can see from here, I'll leave the green here, but you'll see 2 pixels in the next frame here and here, okay? See that? So he moves back a single pixel because he just got jump scared. He's like, ah! And then you look at his robe, pay attention to the bottom half of his robe, and then it bunches up because his clothing has weight and is now being forced to use the GeForce. So he's using, like, what goes up must come down. So he is jumping, his robe comes up, and then he lowers his leg from the first initial jump, which is a step below, which is also another pixel back. If you can notice from here to here, it's another pixel back. And then his robe continues to flare out because the air underneath his robe, as well as the G-force from his jump, and then his robe falls back to the ground. And then he turns and starts walking this way. So let's go over that again. He jumps. So as you can see, his liripipe is still there. But when he jumps, so he jumps and it's still down because the G-force is currently like this. It's acting like this. But in the next frame, he reaches the pinnacle of his jump, which means that he is about to start moving down. Which means the gravity dictates that his liripipe goes up and his robe starts to bunch. So that's liripipe up, clothes bunch up. Then he loosens up on his way down because he is no longer in shock of jump, and then he allows himself to relax a little bit, and then his robe falls, and so does his liripipe. Then he turns to the camera to turn around, and as you can see in this, look at his robe. Right now, his robe is as it fell. So he jumps, and then he moves. As you can see, his leg has moved that over, but because he is just literally fallen from the sky, his robe is as wide as it can possibly be. Then he turns over, so his legs are still in the same position, but he shifts his shoulder over and then begins to move this way. Now, if you look at the difference between this frame and this frame, see how it's flat? Because he is currently moving this direction. And then when you go for the jump and turn, Now he is facing this direction, and we have 2 with 3 and 3 underneath. We have a bunch of pixels here that don't belong, but they do because of context. So we look at him, he turns around, he shifts his shoulders, and he takes a step towards. This is in the process of taking his next step. So when he does take his next step, as you can see from here and here, it comes in. And then on the very next frame, look at that. Straight line. Back to where we were here. But something that you might notice across these, the light is coming down like this. So his back is the brightest color. All right? Now look at this. When he jumps and turns, as you can see, the light, no matter where he is, he turns. The light, no matter where he is, and then he turns, and the light, no matter where he is now still in the same direction. His back is no longer the most brightly lit part of him. He walks forward, and now we've got more light on both of his arms and his shoulder and the top of his head and a little bit to his robe here, right? As opposed to having all of the back covered in brightness. We no longer have that. So we move, we walk right, and so I went through and I flipped this sprite. So all of these, and I made sure to add this, to add a little bit of weight and realism, making sure that you respect the fabric in which he is wearing, as well as the light and the shadows. So you move forward, and then he is there, and then he takes another step, and then he is there, and then he idles, and then he chooses to turn around again. So I made sure to flip these. So I flipped the sprites, and then I completely reworked it in terms of its lighting, because I wanted to make sure that our light source was being respected. Then he idles. As you can see, the shadows and everything display the crumpling of his robe as he's breathing. He turns, and then he looks towards the camera to turn around. He looks over here, and he's on his back foot now. As you can see, his weight is leaning this direction. He moves his arm up. Now pay attention, close attention to his robe. This is very important. So look at his sleeve. He puts his arm up, and then he puts it up to the sky. Now his robe is currently like this. Remember, with GeForce, he is going in a direction like this, right? So that means that the next couple of frames, he's got the robe down here, and then he's got the robe down here, right? And then his robe catches up. As you can see between these two frames, his robe catches up, and as his robe catches up, the light shifts because the fabric is folding. So you can see the fabric folding as that happens. And then he points, and his robe is stuck because he is moving faster than his robe is. And then it falls. Okay? So if you look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And along with his robe, we've still got the folding of fabric. Okay? So he points, and that's it for that guy. Then, with this guy, we've got all of the same frames. So we'll go from the top. He's got his walking animation. This guy's been palette swapped, so his entire body is identical to the purple guy, except for save a few more frames. Because that's all the purple guy needs to do. This guy needs to do something different, okay? So as we can see, when he's walking, it's the same as the purple guy, but he's actually got 3 by 3. Then he's got 2 here and 1 there. And that will swap when he moves to the other side. Then we've got 3 by 3, 2, and 1. And this gives you the illusion of where he is. So he's moving. You can see his shoulder is in front of his cloak, of his hood, and this way he's moving, and his hood, the bottom of his hood, is moving out of the way. So just using more GeForce with it. Anyway, the cultist dude has the leader has red eyes and velvet gloves, whereas the cultist wearing the darker cloak has white eyes and fair skin. So we wanted this guy to be as plain Jane as possible, because this is the guy that's going to be killed many times in many different ways, depending on, well, the information that I get from my friend. But he's got all of the same animations. And no, these aren't boobies, by the way, this little bit here. As a matter of fact, I don't actually know the name of it, and I'm not looking it up. But if you look here, just like this, it's kind of like attached to his hood, almost. So it would be kind of like that if his hood goes over the top of his body. Then you've got the robe underneath it. Then that way, it sort of makes a little bit more sense. But you've also got gowns and stuff, or cloaks, that do have a two-tiered system. I think that's for warmth, where you've got all of this here that is designed to keep your chest warm or something. You usually find that on the front and the back of a lot of different outfits. And I think you can even see them on the back of long coats. Okay, so as we can see, yeah, on the back of long coats, you can see how that sort of is like that. You can get some that are at the same time at the front. If it's a closed coat, you can get those at the front. And I think they're either like to protect you from rain, or to keep you warm, or that you can put extra like padding in or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. It's a lot of female coats here. Let's see. Oh, hang on a second. There we go. A male coat as well. So you can see that it's still there. It still exists. I don't know why these exist. They just do. But in order to snazz up my characters, I figured it'd be really cool to have that. So no matter what, every single frame I allow this to sort of to be there, outside of like these frames where we needed the shading to be elsewhere. Is in the middle of a jump scare, right? But as the robe falls, it goes back into the pattern it's known for, right? So you can still see that, you can see it there as well. Then he turns and you can still see it there, and then he starts to walk this way. And the same with this character as we did with the purple character. When he turns, this is still there. So he turns, he starts moving, and then it's flat again, right? So I made that intentionally, and for both palette swaps of this character, I made sure that I was respecting the source of the light. So we move this guy over, and then this happens. So we've got the finger point, and then once that's done, we already have the turning animation, so we can always just reuse the turning animation. So we've already got that. So what I figured, which would be really funny, is that this guy looks down, he puts his hands down, and then he lifts up his robe, and then he looks up, tilts his head back, and starts running. I don't know, I always found this really funny, because it looks like he's dancing. But it's going to look really comical when he's running away from a monster, and then this is the final frame before we've got the orange box again. So this is him that is about to fall. He is about to comically fall over to go here and then there, and maybe slide across the ground, I'm not sure, but he is about to eat shit, and it's gonna suck for him. But if we just look at the animation, he looks down, and as he looks down, we can see a little bit more pronounced the shape of his arms. And then he lifts up his robe, and then that crunches. So look at the difference between this and then this. His robe being lifted up, the fabric crunches. So the lighting and the shading is respective. And then we look towards the front, and then tilts his head back. So by doing this, you can see the definition of his arm. And so when he's looking down, you can't really see it because his hood is blocking the light. So you can only see light here, right? And then when he lifts his head up, you can see more light. And then when he tilts his head back, you can see more light, as you can see. So it grows. It grows from being here to there, where it's just covered, right? So that is how to respect the light in terms of this. And then he moves, he's got his right shoulder front. So using this is really difficult, by the way, at this point in time, because not only is he running in the opposite direction of the light, so I have to use a little bit more shading, a little bit more crunching and everything. This was the hardest part, was getting his robe correct. So looking like this one's fine. This is the ending animation before he falls. But in order to get this right, because this stays the same until that, and then he looks up and then he runs. And this makes his cloak comically go up and then down, and then he's gonna fall down. But this, we can have him sort of like that, make him run. But then it was really difficult to get the lighting and the shading right for his running animation, because it looks really like dark over here, but like if you're thinking about it, it's like underneath his robe that you can see, as well as you can't see the light source. You can't see where that is, so you just got bits of light here and here that are sort of just scattered. And that was, for me, the most difficult part. And the way that I could justify this is on this frame, his robe is actually pointing upwards, which means that his body is only casting light and shadow down this way, right? So these bits right here, and then a fold, is still receiving light, but a limited amount of light. So then that way I could justify when this falls to have light here and a little bit of bouncing light as well. But that is very difficult because he's wearing a fabric robe. He is not made of metal. If he was wearing metal, it'd be a lot different for how light works, because it'd be a hard, like a bright light more than a soft light bounce. Because, well, I pay attention to the fabric and I pay attention to the to the material that I'm bouncing light off. And that, to be honest, this has been a major challenge for me. But I didn't do the standard, you know, you've got a head, you put like a cross, and then it's like, all right, this is where his eyes will be, you know, this is where his nose is, and this is where his mouth is. I didn't do any of that. I did all of this from start to finish without any of the common ways to create a character. So I didn't draw a face with a line through it. I just made his hood and then went from there. So I went, all right, cool. So this will be fine. I'll just how about let's just do that like this, and all right, cool. So maybe I could have some eyes there, and then what if we have a different color, you know? And then that way we can represent the hood, you know, that sort of thing. It's a bit bland, isn't it? What if I do this? Oh, that works. Okay, yeah, that works. All right. So how about what color would this be now? So the rest of his hood, maybe it could be like I don't know, this color or something. And then I just started working with this and going, okay, so how can I make this sort of fit, you know? How can I make this character fit? How can I make him believable? And I just sort of went from there to, you know, adding little bits and bobs, and I just experimented a little bit, and then was like, all right, so his shoulder's gonna be roughly here, and like, you know, his back and whatever else, and then he's gonna have his little robe. And so I drew a basic shape, and worked my way around it. And that was just, it was interesting, and as a learning curve for me as well, is I've never really been good at creating like characters in general. I'm not really good. I wouldn't consider myself like an artist in terms of like in the traditional sense, because there is way better ways of doing this sort of thing. For pixel art myself, I have learned through creating objects and creating different things, like different environmental things. I've learned how to make wood look believable, as you can see up here and down here. I understand that, like, the basic principles of pixel art, but I'm a pixel artist now, but I didn't start as a pixel artist. I didn't even start as an artist. I've definitely done art before, but I wouldn't consider myself or classify myself as an artist. But considering that I'm doing this whole thing as a solo project, my game's on top of this little project here, I'm doing the whole thing myself. So I have to be the sound engineer, I have to be the artist, I have to be the animator, I have to be the programmer, I have to be the game developer. So everything that we have here and the animations moving forwards, all of these frames, every single one of these could be used, translated and ported to a game engine, given hitboxes, and could be turned into a video game itself. I have made a sprite sheet. So I don't know, it's just really, it's kind of, to me, a little bit mind-blowing, the fact that not only have I been able to do this, but I did it easily. Where I'm not trying to brag or anything, I'm merely just stating all of the research that I've done and all of the practice that I've been doing for pixel art and everything. It all sort of worked out. Like, this is proof of concept right here. You guys can see it. So the next step for this project is putting these little dudes, this guy and the purple guy, putting these guys into the vault and getting them moided. And then once that's done and I've got a complete and I've finished the animation, then I will upload that to Patreon as well and show you guys the finished animation, as well as you'll be able to see it on the Nerd Vault's channel or Twitch. Because these are going to be scaled up to 1080p as well as different aspect ratios, just to fit whatever purposes they need to be there for. But yeah, this is the animation that I came up with, and the dude's going to be about this big anyway, so I think that I did a pretty decent job. Just working towards, you know, just doing this stuff. Completely freehand in Aseprite with no base model, I didn't trace, I didn't have anything beside me. I just sort of went, alright, cool, I'm making a cultist dude. And then I was like, what do they do? They have a hood, they need a robe, and how would I animate that? Okay, the robe has weight when he's walking. He's obviously, the robe needs to move along with his legs. Need to contour his legs, his arms. And that's about it. Like, I just sort of, from memory, created this entire thing. And this took me about, I think this guy took me about 4 hours. It took me about another 2 hours to do the additional things for this guy. But, so about 6 hours of work there, right? I mean, that's pretty good to have an entire set of sprites in 6 hours. That's not bad. And with time, I'm going to get better. And the main reason it took so long is because I added lighting. I didn't need to add lighting. That was my own, I don't know, perfectionism or something. But I just wanted to make sure that the lighting was respected in terms of the project. Because in the project, the light is, as you can see it, you can obviously see where the source of light is. But the light is being respected the entire way throughout the whole project. So I hope that this proves to you guys what I'm capable of achieving. and what I am currently in the process of doing in terms of my video games and board games and everything like that. I've got another program, Clip Studio Paint, which I paid for with the proceeds that I've been contributing to as well as collecting from Patreon. And I've got evidence of that posted up on Patreon as well, if you guys want to know about that. So Clip Studio Paint, I need to learn the program and I'll be able to use that for anything that is not pixel art related. I'll be able to turn that into vector images and backdrops and posters and anything that I really need, especially for books that I'm going to be creating, such as my tabletop role-playing game, which is still just paper. Then eventually I'll be turning that into completely redesigned for each page to make it look really good. There'll be a uniform, and then certain pages will look different. They need different designs for the chapters and everything like that. So I'm going to make sure I spend a lot of time on the design of the book because, well, people are going to be purchasing the book and I don't want them to be like, wow, it's just black and white. I want to add color. I want to add pictures. I want it to look vibrant and entertaining, which is what I want with all of my projects. I just want them to be entertaining. I want you guys to have a very good time with the things that I create, and I want to have a good time creating them. So I need to learn that program. I haven't gotten around to doing that just yet because I've been doing this project for my friend, but I've also in the background been able to work on a few things and a few different ideas for the future and chipping away at my fictional universe, as well as coming up with the designs, the percentages, the concepts, and everything for my first ever video game. I'm not up to the stage where I'm able to create characters, or I mean I can, and I've been dabbling with the character designs for the first game, but I'm not at the stage where I'm ready to put the paper to the concept art and then translate that into a video game. I'm still at the stage of the game design document where I want that to be flawless and it makes sense, and then turn that into a video game. Because if I don't have it all laid out in front of me, I won't be able to translate it properly. And if I screw up along the way, I'll have no reference point to fix it. So I am taking this very seriously because I am a perfectionist, and it's very difficult for me to just commit myself to one project. I've got many things in the works and many things that I'm able to do, but I still have a long way to go in terms of art. But I hope that this video itself is proof enough that I am capable of creating something grandiose. Because this is just one little area, one little frame, one 1080p, that's upscaled to 1080p area that is going to be completely fully animated with a character that is 19 by 19 pixels. And once this animation is finished, you guys will be able to see what I'm able to do either through cutscene or through game design. And this whole project is just a proof of concept and a promotional tool for me to prove to you guys and also to prove to myself that I'm capable of doing this and that I'm worth investing into. So thank you all so much for being here on Patreon. I really can't even begin to describe how useful that has been and how enlightening it's been just to have people along the ride to believe in the things that I'm doing. And I hope that this video itself and this project that I'm working on right now gives you guys a little bit more of a sigh of relief in terms of being a little bit more confident in where you're putting your money. Because I don't want to take your money and for you to be disappointed. So I've got evidence, I've uploaded screenshots and everything of what we spend our money on. We've got receipts, and we've only used one thing, we've only purchased one thing throughout. So you can see that we've got a bank account that we do not touch unless we are using it for our projects. And right now we're just saving up for getting something else. But in the meantime, and in between time, thank you all for being here, and I appreciate you all.